All right, everybody, welcome back into the Be Different podcast. We have a very special guest today, and a guest that I hope I don't have to say is a guest anymore, just a guy that's part of the team, and that's a UC legend, guy who's been doing radio for UC for a number of years, very well known in this area, obviously, Terry Nelson. Welcome into the Be Different podcast.
Where's the B-roll hand clap? You know, all that.
Yeah.
The band.
Oh, yeah. Greg, can you clap? Yeah, there it is.
Then you let the band go home?
Yeah, we left it. Hey, Nick, when you're
Jimmy
editing,
Fallon took the route, so we couldn't.
When you're editing this whole thing, please make sure there's some sort of applause.
Yeah.
Or like when I'm
curtain unveil.
Yeah. Or if we could do like a light around Terry, like an angel.
Yes.
That like we need something to make it bigger.
We can do that.
You know, sometimes that's what we lack on the editing. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus.
It sounds like you're throwing me directly under the bus.
In a live setting right here, but just let's do better.
I mean, we could start by a drink. You didn't offer me anything. You sat me down in this beautiful building. Man. You got a whole.
See, you're part of the crew now. You got to get your own drinks.
And you got all this drink. My mouth is parched.
Oh,
and you
well,
sit down here and you don't even treat your guests.
You got to be careful with this conversation because we can go down the rabbit hole of blueberry muffins on this show. It's a very, very touchy topic.
Boy, I tell you.
But yeah, we are very poor hosts. I blame myself first and foremost, and then after that, Greg Wichard, because Nick doesn't do anything for anybody. Just himself. So
I know he gave some fake hustle. Like he pulled his pants up like he was going to get up, and then he just started rocking his knees back and forth together.
Yeah, if you want somebody to do something, here we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's a 30 drink, and shout out to Sean Herron, who is here and in the building, because that is his drink right there. And if you're at UDF, Kroger, wherever you can get 30 drink, get that. And that's not a shameless plug. It's one of my favorite drinks. I think I keep them in business.
This is pretty good.
Because I buy one every single day.
Every single time I go to UDF, I get one.
They're so money. And it's called 30 drink because it has 30 calories. And I thought it had zero fat. 30 calories, zero fat, just 7 grams of sugar, all natural right here. And it's all natural sugar, just so you guys are aware. There is a shelf life on it because it is natural.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's great.
So 30 drink, we can pick that up. All right, Terry. College basketball started. Everybody's ready to crown Duke as the national champion. But in this area, the game of the week was the Ohio State Buckeyes coming to Cincinnati, playing at the newly renovated Fifth Third Arena. The night started with a lot of excitement. Fans stormed in, sellout crowd. You had Kmart giving his authentic dunk in front of the crowd, reenacting it, and it was a great moment. New sound system that was bumping Mo Bamba to the delight of the crowd. I mean, Mo Bamba at the media timeouts, and I know you didn't get it if you were watching it on TV, but the UC student section when Mo Bamba came on was electric. And that was DJ E-Train, who has an office here. So DJ E-Train right down the street right here, he was bumping Mo Bamba, and it was electric in there. But unfortunately, Terry, your Bearcats, they fell short to the Buckeyes, 64-56.
Not just fall short. I mean, we just got smacked in the face to wake up. You know, it's like when you're playing against your brothers every day in practice, you get this false sense of security of how good you are. You scrimmage Notre Dame, you go on the road and you beat Notre Dame, and you start feeling yourself a little bit, and then you come out and you play a physical Big Ten team that is limited in their numbers. So they just shortened their bench, and guys had clearly defined roles, and you also had a couple of transfers that came in there, 5-year transfers, and it was a recipe for a storm that the Bearcats just weren't ready and prepared for. I mean, you look at what they had. Cincinnati had a bunch of guys that are new roles, 1.9 average guys, 2.8 average guys. Now they're being looked upon to give a little bit more with their production offensively, defensively, rebounding. And so you saw some good things out of Justin Jennifer, who did what he can do. You know, I heard Andy Mack talk about our small guards, which we do have some small guards, and you know, I don't give it credence a lot what Andy says, but but we do have some small guards. And so one thing we got to do is we got to get more production out of those small guards. Kane Broom, Justin Jennifer, they have to be more irritants defensively. They got to be able to shoot the passing lanes and really disrupt flow and turn guys full court and make it tough on them, because the margin of victory is slim. The margin of error is slim for this team. They cannot have mistakes and overcome them like, you know, when you have Jacob Evans and Gary Clark and Kyle Washington, you know, out of timeouts, Mick looks like the best coach in America because we scored nearly 85% of all timeouts last year. Yeah. You know, he brings them to the sideline, gives them an earpiece, pulls their hair out of their scalp, and then all of a sudden he draws up a play, throws it into Gary. Gary takes 3 or 4 dribbles, the double team comes, they swing it around the corner, find the open man, wide open shot. The offense works. Well, this year's team don't have anybody you need to double. So the offense doesn't look like last year, and everybody's like, it seemed like it was a lot of standing. You know, a lot of guys unsure where they're supposed to be, and Cronin is calling out plays as he's standing, and guys are looking, and it sort of reminds you of that youth football league where the coach had to sit in the huddle, and he's calling the plays, and he's telling the guys to go out, and the quarterback's about to hike it, and he turns around and asks the coach, who's supposed to get the ball again? You know, it's one of those things where guys are still unsure where they're supposed to be, and Cronin pointed out yesterday in practice that it was 26 plays. 26 times they were running plays that guys weren't in the right position or they didn't know where they're supposed to be. So, needless to say.
And that's challenging when you start out the season with a bunch of guys in completely different roles, and then you play a team like Ohio State that, although not the most talented team, they only play about 5-6 guys, and they do have an understanding of their roles, and they have a senior point guard in Jackson who's a pretty nice player and made some big plays in that second half. And even it was like I was at the game as well, and then coming out of the timeouts, same thing. Cronin would drop a nice play, and I thought one play that kind of summarized the game a little bit was second half. UC was starting to come back. Cronin draws up a nice play. Brooks gets a wide open layup, and I think he missed the dunk or missed the layup. It was just like it couldn't quite get over the hump. I do want to go back to Broome and Jennifer because those two guards, just 3 of 18 from the floor. How do you see them improving offensively? In your mind, where do you see them kind of going? In my eyes, I see Broome constantly being able to get by his guy. Really where they're kind of struggling is at the second level. So how can they improve that maybe schematically or as players once they do get to that second level of the defense, be able to make a play without getting blocked, just feel like they can get a better shot at times?
Justin Jennifer is what he is. He's strong. He's going to take care of the ball. He's going to get into the paint. He only had 14 turnovers last year, and he played 20 minutes a game. So he's going to give you that solid production. He's going to get guys in the spots where they need to be. Offensively, Kane Broome won't go to 1 of 10 pretty much most of the season because he's going to attack more. He relied too much on his jump shot. You know, when you make one of your first couple 3-point shots, it's the worst thing ever happened to you. When I first got to UC, we were playing athletes in action. And we were running their offense, and the ball comes to me at the top, and I shoot it, and it goes all net. So I'm running around. I'm walking. I'm like, 13, 176. It's like this all day, baby. Next play, we're running the offense. We're running the offense, and they leave me open again. I'm like, you guys didn't just see what I just did. Next play, I shoot it. Air ball. They catch it, they're going the other way. A corner of your eye, you're looking, and you see Hug saying, get him the F out of there. So guys are running to the scorer's table, and I'm running back on defense, and we get the ball back, and we come back. I'm thinking, I got the ball. They didn't score. Got the ball back. So we come back up and run in the motion offense, and lo and behold, guess what happened? They leave me open again. And I'm saying, are you serious? I'm already 50% from 3. I have to take this. So I shoot it. It hits the front of the rim, bounces over the backboard. Horn goes off. I'm walking over to the sideline. A towel hits me in the face. Eric Martin throws a towel in my face. Hugs sits me down. He goes, what are you doing? I said, Hugs, I'm shooting the ball. He goes, why are you shooting the ball? I said, Hugs, I'm open. Why do you think you're open? That was the first reality for me that there's a reason that he goes, that's a defensive strategy. They're leaving you open. So there's some guys on Cincinnati that you want to leave open. Kane Broome is not one of those guys. He's going to not only just make more threes, but I think he's most effective when he gets into that paint. Because he's lefty, he has that herky-jerky. He's got some of his Nick Van Exel in him. Everybody likes to compare him because he's a guard at UC and he's left-handed. He is not Nick Van Exel. Nick had these oversized hands and great court vision, and he had some dog in him. And what we're trying to get with Kane is trying to realize his potential and realize how to get to spots. See, when you got guys in college, a lot of guys don't understand what that means to have spots on the floor. If you had one shot, 5 seconds to go, you would go to your favorite spot on the floor because the chances of you making that go from if you're a 45% shooter from the floor. If you go to your favorite spot, your chances of making that shot goes up to like 70, 75% because that's your favorite spot. And your confidence level is there. You work on it.
I know mine.
Where was your spot, Brad?
Right wing.
Right wing.
Right wing.
Yeah, right wing I had to have shot 60 to 70% from
That's
three.
right.
If I got a shot on the right wing, it was lights out. That whole spot, really, like right outside, extended free throw line right there, 3-point line, right side every single time I was knocking it down.
And if you can get the data when you're doing research on teams, if I'm guarding somebody, I want to find out where they're most successful, where are their spots, and then you want to take those spots away. So Justin and Kane and all these guys, these guards, they have to realize where their spots are. So I believe for Kane Broome, getting defenders on their heels, pushing at them real hard, and then stopping and popping at the free throw line. Those elbows, those elbow shots, when you do shooting drills, you're doing elbow-to-elbow shots. Yep. Some of the best shooting you'll get, elbow-to-elbow, wing-to-elbow, corner to wing. So those little 7 spots right around the corners and right around the wings and the free throw line areas, those are spots on the floor that you don't have to shoot a 3. You don't have to go all the way to the hole to get a layup. Find spots in between the floor, get to those spots, get the defender on heels, stop and pop. Yep. If you do that, your percentages will go up and you won't go 1 for 10.
He can beat his guy off the dribble every single time.
Yes, he can.
Every time. And you're right. It's about him being able to beat that guy, pick a spot, without always having to go into the teeth of the defense as well. Because opposing defenses, they're going to continue to kind of drop and stay in the lane and tight on Kane. If he can pull up, get that 10, 12-foot jumper consistently, Kane's a guy who can score 15, 17 a night.
Yeah, but he's got to embrace the contact and use the contact and draw fouls while he's shooting. He doesn't like the contact, so he'll dribble until the guy's pressuring him, go between his legs, pull back dribble, dance a little bit, and kick it out and stand. If he's actually moving and doing stuff. We had a guy that played here about 3 years ago, Farad Cobb, who was a knockdown shooter, could not stand contact. You put one hand on his hip, he was at half court, with his hand up with the ball. Didn't want nothing to do with contact. And so we've got guards. Justin Jennifer doesn't mind the contact. Kane Broome is excellent at finishing with that floater. Coming to, there's his right to left crossover where he gets to that hole, gets to his hand, and then shoots that high arcing shot off the glass. He gets that. But his pull-up game has got to be there. But he's got to be able to get into a guy, make him change his body language, make him lean a little bit, and then stop on the dime.
Yep.
I remember Kevin Johnson played for the Suns, the mayor of Sacramento now. He was so good at going full speed, making you retreat, and then stopping on the dime, free throw line area. Stop and pop, bam. So we have to have guards that understand how to get their shots off, when we need them to be aggressive, when to run the offense, and when to be in attack mode.
Well, a big reason UC got out of flow early was Jaron Cumberland. Cumberland's their best player. Offensively, you saw it in the second half. I think he's one of the best scorers in the country, and that was a big problem when he gets in foul trouble early. He loves contact so much, and he seeks it. Sometimes it works against him, and he fouls. How big of a piece was that early on for Cincinnati just shooting over 13% in the first half was not having Cumberland in the ballgame? That completely changed the game.
Do you see how quickly the hook came for him to come out of the game when he got his first foul?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen if he doesn't foul out of the NCAA tournament. Think about that.
Okay.
It's 6 minutes to go. He's got his 4th foul. Cronin says, do not foul. I need to keep you in, to sort of stymie this run that's going on with Nevada. And he turns right around and picks up his 5th foul. It's not even – they're like back-to-back. And so now, as soon as he gets that first foul, Coach realizes the value that he has to pull him out real quick to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid to really penalize his team. But when he goes out of the game, he is the guy that you can give the ball to, along with Kane if he was on, but he's the guy that you give the ball to, and you can either use an on-the-ball screen, that high screen they do, that every offense does this, and Cincinnati does it a lot, where when it gets to about 10 seconds, everybody lines up and they back away on the baseline 1-4 set, and then one of those high posts, one of those bigs, 4 or 5 come and set a high post screen, and when Cumberland comes off of that, if Cumberland doesn't have his head up a lot. But he's got his head down and he's watching legs. He's watching feet. He's watching positioning. So when he sees you try to drop a foot behind the screen like you're going to go under a screen, or if he sees you with your hips turned like you're going to funnel him one way, he lowers that shoulder and he burrows his way to the hole. Now, he's lost a lot of pounds. He's still a guy that has not eaten fruit, doesn't like the texture of fruit. Never eaten fruit. No fruit. Bananas, pears, peaches. Doesn't like him. Doesn't like the texture. His diet before he got to UC, his diet consisted of chicken fingers, mac and cheese, and everything else fast food. But he got to Mike Renfield over at UC, our
and he's
strength
done
and conditioning.
a hell of a job.
Wow.
Look, I mean, Jennifer in person.
Yes.
I mean, Jennifer looks great.
Yes.
I mean, you look at the before and after pictures of Justin
You got
Jennifer.
a crush, Brad?
I'm telling you, it's amazing though. From his freshman, I mean, I remember seeing Jennifer his freshman year, and I mean, the guy kind of looked like a bowling ball a little bit.
He looked like a cartoon bouncer.
But he looks thin, lean, and cut, and pretty much the whole team does. I mean, I had to shout him out because I was going to mention that as well. But you beat me to the punch.
Yeah,
So
well, Mike Renfield does a great job changing guys' bodies. They get about a month or two on campus, and you look at the before and after. They've dropped body weight, they've dropped body fat, they've streamlined, they've had muscles, they've done all this. So when you look at Cumberland, when Cumberland gets in foul trouble, totally different team. And I knew he would have that kind of second half because he's a guy that likes to catch up in the action. So if you play him all 40 minutes, you won't get 40 minutes worth of production. But if he knows he has 2 fouls and he didn't play the whole half, he knows he's got to catch up because he has a scorer's mentality. Cumberland never thinks that if he's 1 for 10 like Kane Broom, he's not going to think that I should stop shooting and get everybody involved because he has an assassin's mentality. Yes, he gets everybody involved. He was our leading assist guy percentage-wise, statistically over the last 15 games of last season. So he's that guy that's going to get everybody involved, but his role has changed this year. I mean, last year you had Jacob, who we had to hand the ball in his hands a lot to close games out. Gary won that conference championship game for us last year against Houston. I mean, we have lots of guys last year that had closed out. Kyle Washington, we gave you that corkscrew jump hook from 17 feet. You're like, how did he even make that? It's sideways, it's hemispheric follow through and all this other stuff. It goes in. This year, there's nobody we can dump it down to and say, get us a basket. So when Cumberland's in the game, he's got to realize that in those first 5 to 10 minutes, he can't pick up a foul. He can't pick up. You got to save all your stuff in the second half because he's going to get at least 1 foul, maybe even 2, just playing hard. You know that when you're sliding your feet, you're playing tough defense, you try to fight through a screen, and the ref say you're holding him as he's coming to the screen. That's 1 foul. It's not egregious, but you're trying. You're playing hard. Then all of a sudden you get a blocking foul.
Brad, you almost fell off that
No,
chair.
I did not.
I had checked him, but he's like, whoa.
Hey guys, I'm a guy that I'm a guy that never loved contact either. Okay, I'm a finesse guy. All right.
As soon as I touched him, he looked for the referee. He was like, "Where's
Whoa.
Give me some space here.
Shooting foul.
You know, Nick, I love you, but anytime something somewhat negative happens to me, immediately you're firing it right at me.
I saw the
don't
fear
understand.
in your eyes. You thought you were going down.
Hey, I traded in the basketball shoes for Cole Haans about 6 years ago. Okay, so relax here.
I remember several years ago playing in a alumni crosstown shootout match, and I was guarding Chris Mack. This is back in the old.
Oh, nice.
Back in the old. What's the field house or whatever?
Oh yeah, Schmidt Fieldhouse.
The guard.
Field house.
Oh,
No,
I think it was Schmidt Fieldhouse on campus.
It was for Alex Meacham's Shining Star. It was a fundraiser for his program, and I'm guarding Chris Mack, and Chris goes, "Good God, Terry, do you realize this is a charity event?" Because I'm grabbing, I'm sliding feet, I'm hand checking his waist and pushing him off of his spot. And, he goes, "Man, do you realize this? I got bad knees now. This is a charity game. Slow down."
So we've heard several times that Chris Mack talks a lot of shit. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Oh, he's a talker.
Well, that's why he likes JP so much. You know? So, and he loved him and he protected him because Chris Mack, when I got to him, he wasn't the same Chris Mack. He had 2 knee surgeries and he was a shell of himself. But he mastered the art of getting under your skin. Mastered the art of getting under because he wouldn't take it personal. If he would talk trash to you and you would come back and, do something to him or score on him or whatever, he'd be like, "Okay, that was good. That was 1. You got 1." And he'd come back down and he'd try to minimize you. He'd give you that crossover, the step back. He would shoot the 3, and he would stare at you the entire time he's running down the court. Make sure you're trying to run the offense, looking at the coach, trying to find out where you're going to screen, but you can feel the heat. And you give him that little eye, and he's looking at you like, "Yes,
it's like that.
I'm about to get it cooking right now."
Yeah.
So
The serial killer eye we talked about a long time ago.
Well, we were recently we were doing a show and we were talking about if coaches were not coaches, what would they be? And then
by their appearance, what would they be? And I just think Chris Mack has the serial killer face, just like the beady eyes.
Oh man, he looks like Jason from Friday the 13th without the mask on.
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm still scared of the man.
You're still waiting
I'm
on the
still scared
Louisville
of Chris
gear?
Mack. It was so weird when I was driving home last night and I turned on 15:30 and it's Chris Mack getting interviewed as the Louisville head coach before they played at 7 o'clock, and it was so strange to hear him on there. I mean, it was so weird.
Louisville broadcast, huh?
I still can't completely get used to it quite yet.
Well, their arena was about half filled for that game, so.
Hey,
It's going to be that way for a while.
Hey there, bud. It's going to take a little bit of time for Chris to get it rolling, but he will be fine. Jeez, what is up with all the shade throwing these days?
I don't know.
What was his contract? 8 years?
7 year, $28 million guaranteed.
With the chance of being 10, depending on if they go to
Yeah.
probation.
Right. If they go on probation, he
not,
just
not
keeps
if.
winning.
And if they
Doesn't it cocks back, right? And he
Yes.
just keeps getting paid. It's genius.
when if they go on probation for each year they go on probation while he's there, he gets an additional $4 million guaranteed for each year.
How about that?
So if he gets 3-year probation, it's great. Then now he gets 10 year, $4 million each year. So spark it right
Wow.
out. Yeah.
Man, he almost got enough to take his kids to college.
almost
Barely.
Almost. It'd be
I don't
close.
know how Chris Mack's eating. I mean,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
no
right.
idea. Well, Chris, if you're listening, which you're probably not, send a check. Shoot me a text.
Gladly allocate that money to something.
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
children.
Or actually, I wouldn't mind some gear, maybe some shoes. I don't know. I'd take anything of that nature.
All
All
right,
right.
start rocking some U of L gear.
No, well, I need something
That'd
to
be-
clean my tires. So, yes, I would take some Cardinal gear.
That'd be tough. Well, I need some Christmas gifts for other family members, relatives. I think there's a couple Louisville fans sprinkled in.
So,
there,
you're the gifting guy. You're the re-gifting dude, huh? You're the guy who gets a pot the previous year, re-gifts it, and puts it back in the thing.
Sometimes I'm the refurbished guy too.
Oh,
I might
man.
refurbish
You can't
something
give
and
out
send
old
it in.
computers. I mean, yeah, I don't think your iPhone 4 is a good gift to give to somebody.
I'm a guy who will wear a button up for a year, take it to the dry cleaner, repackage, refurbish, and send it into my dad. There's
but
your
you
Christmas
can't have the
gift.
initials on the little lapel. I mean, you can't do that and then re-gift it.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I got into trouble one year with cufflinks of that nature. But anyways, well, we got to move on to UC's next game. It's North Carolina Central. We'll do like a little bit of a preview there, but kind of a sneaky team. If you're a fan that doesn't know anything about the MEAC or anything about North Carolina Central, you think that UC bounces back with an easy game. Terry, I don't know if it's going to be that to start off at least.
Yes, I'm in the pre-stages of my research on them, and I'm doing the coaches show last night with Coach Cronin. He's a little nervous about that game. Now, everybody's going to come in there and they think, okay, we just played Ohio State. It was a Big Ten team. Let's take a deep breath. We got 3-4 games to get our feet wet, get everybody allocated, get some wins in. It's not what Cronin is thinking. When he put this together, Cronin says, this is the toughest schedule he's ever put together because the teams that nobody knows about are pretty decent teams.
Yep.
And this North Carolina Central team returns 4 starters from a team. The coach has been to 3 NCAA tournaments, and they have 5 fifth-year transfers that are in there. So it's going to be an experienced team loaded with a bunch of guys that have already been through the ringer as starters last year. They're going to come on the road into the new Fifth Third. They're not going to be intimidated. They're going to shoot their shots. They already know what they do. See, one of the reasons I love watching Michigan State and Tom Izzo and watching Duke and watching the Blue Bloods is because Michigan State started this thing where he likes to play the toughest competition he can possibly play in the first game because he wants to know what he needs to work on. Because when you're in the summertime, you work on things and, you have an idea of what it is that you're good at and what you're going to be good at based on the talent on your roster. And then you get into a game. And Mike Tyson's famous quote is, everybody's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. It's just like one of those things where you realize, man, we're not that good rebounding, or we're not as good as running the offense as, when you're in practice, you're scoring almost the same way every time when you're scoring because it's your brothers. But when you're in the game and you go like Cumberland does, where he crosses a guy over and Cumberland drifts towards the basket, instead of exploding up. So when you drift towards the basket, it gets smacked off the glass because when you beat somebody and you don't elevate towards the rim, anybody can make an attempt at the ball who's just out of position, but they're one last-ditch effort, and they get a hand on the ball and block it out of bounds. Troy Copain had that same issue because he couldn't, he was vertically challenged as far as jumping, 6'4" guard, go to the hole, get it smacked off the glass. When you're playing against a team that's veteran, that they're going to come into the building on Tuesday, they know who they are. They're not going to beat themselves. So Cincinnati's going to have to come with intensity. Guys that were off the bench, We're going to have really clearly defined roles, and that's the issue right now that Coach Cronin is trying to solve is, and you know this from being a player, is you can have talent. And yes, as Hubie Brown always says, the waiver wire is full of talent. It's always got talent. But until that talent is clearly defined in the roles that they provide and what they bring to the team. When Hugs told me, there's a reason that you're open. That was a head scratcher, and I'm like, Wait a minute. What's my job? What's my role? And I was for the first seven games of that Final Four year, 91-92. I was coming off the bench, and we played Michigan State. We're up 19 at halftime. They come back and they win that game. Anthony Buford misses a 3 at the buzzer, and we come back. And there's going to be some changes in practice, and everybody knew it. So whenever you lose, you got to get to practice early, start sweating, let the coach know that, I'm serious. You can't be in there with your feet up talking about what you did last night, what women were over, and all this. No, that stuff don't fly. So you got to get a little sweat. So he comes in the gym, and Jeff Scott goes into him. Love Jeff Scott, 6'10". He was a starting center, and he goes up to Hugs, and he goes, I think I want to come off the bench. Hugs goes, you damn right you're coming off the bench. You're 6'10", you got 1 rebound. You are coming off the bench. So Corey's get inserted into the starting lineup. And then Eric Martin gets inserted into the starting lineup, and Eric had his worst practice. And he goes, you know what, Eric, I don't have to take your stuff. You go black, Terry, you go red. It's your job to lose. I had my best practice, and Huggins is superstitious. It just so happens that I stayed in the starting lineup. Eric, we spelled each other. He had 20 minutes. I had 20 minutes. He came in for me. But it was one of those things where once you define roles, then you can take off as a team. But if you just got a bunch of guys who think that they're the next three-point shooter, they're the guy that's going to create off the dribble, they're the guy that needs the ball in their hand, nobody wants to move without the ball, nobody sets anybody else up, nobody sets great screens, when everybody is like birds with their mouth open chirping and nobody is there with the ball trying to feed them instead of everybody looking to make plays for each other as a unit. They're young and they're inexperienced, and guys are in different roles. So they're going to have to learn to play together. It's going to take some time. And the beauty of playing in a new arena and the new excitement there is that we got a whole year of sellouts. Mm-hmm. So the fans are not going to just not show up. So they're going to have instant energy in the building, and they're going to be cheering for you, and they're going to watch you mature. And these guys have a way to really put in the hearts of in the minds of people to be memorable and to establish a legacy, because Steve Sanders, who, one of my best friends, and, when he hit that shot against Minnesota to open up Fifth Third Arena, this is a new arena, and there's no more Steve Sanders. There's no Nick Van Exel on this. There's no Kilpatrick. There's that old arena for 27 years or 28 years, 27 years was amazing. But this time, Cumberland's got to have his name in the rafters. Some of these guys got to be memorable. And so games like Tuesday, where you come off a game in Ohio State where it didn't look good. Yes, you played good for stretches, and you saw some potential. You saw the defensive intensity in the second half. But now they have to start getting after it. Now they got to really start settling to who they are. Yesterday's practice was only about an hour, and he could have easily gave him the day off after a game. You hate those practices after a game.
I didn't love practice in general, but, the ones after the game.
Stop it. Well, I tell you, that's these guys right here that just, you probably show up early, clothes all ironed and all that. Come on, man. I don't want to practice after a game. No, I want to relax. I want to gloat. I'm at prime time. I'm at prime time at Cooters. Come on, man. All that stuff back in the day. But once they get clearly defined roles, sky's the limit.
Do you think, I thought it was interesting to see the minutes played. They had 9 guys play. Only one guy played 13, 2 played 14, but they had 9 guys play for 13 minutes, but nobody played 30 minutes. So do you think that those minutes kind of have to be pushed up towards the top? Like, guys need to get a little more playing time to be able to mesh a little bit better, or what do you think?
Yes and no. I think that's going to naturally take place. Guys are going to start naturally falling into roles. Guys who don't turn the ball over will play more minutes. Cronin coaches different than most coaches around the country. Most coaches value rebounding, like Tom Izzo. And Duke, they value freedom of movement and, play for your brothers. Mm-hmm.
And lottery picks.
Kentucky, they value somebody get me a shot because I don't know what I'm running. One of those type of things in Kentucky. At Cincinnati, Coach Cronin values possessions. So he just believes in possessions. That's why, they call a lot of sets. He doesn't like turnovers. You would like to see when a guy turns it over, give him one trip up and down the floor, see if he can get it back. If he can block it, steal it. If they don't, and he'll give that to a Cumberland. He'll give that to guys who have earned it. But anybody else other than Cumberland or maybe even Trey Scott, if they turn it over, they're going to sit. So that's why you get guys with 13 minutes, 14 minutes, because they're going to get a chance to get in there with a 2-3 minute spell to see if they can do something. And here's the thing, when you have new players in new roles, is when they get in there, they're getting their feet wet, they're running up and down the floor, they've been in 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then they come out, and then they're looking at the bench like, what'd you take me out for? What did I do? And it's like, nothing. That's why you came out. It's exactly why you came out. You don't come out because you didn't do anything to hurt the team. You came out because all you did was spell time. You didn't rebound. You didn't set screens. You didn't get anybody open. You didn't talk on defense. You didn't dive on the floor for loose balls. You didn't do anything to produce value for your team. So if you're just going to be a body, you can put anybody in there. So, Mamadou is one of the most talented players on that roster. I think the most talented player on that roster, 6'9", runs like a deer, never gets tired, can shoot the three, can handle the ball, but he hasn't grasped the concept of what Cronin wants to bring to the table. And if that ever happens, then that's another guy that's going to come that is a valuable asset. But until they get the understanding of how to gel together and how to play for each other, they're going to have some of these games where you're like, is this it? I mean, are we going to make the tournament? And everybody close to the program knows that when we finally get it together, the defense is going to kick in. We're going to make shots. But until they define those roles, man, there's going to be some head scratchers.
Yeah, and the North Carolina Central game will be interesting. After that, then you get the team you kind of beat up on. Wisconsin-Milwaukee, a team from the horizon that struggled last year, and they lost 3 of their better players. So that's the game you'd expect UC to have no problems winning. Around the league, everybody else won that played except for Wichita State. And it's kind of weird to see a Wichita State team early on in the season with very, very low expectations, but they lost to Louisiana Tech by 13. One guy I wanted to talk to you about before we kind of head out of here was Logan Johnson, a freshman. I was really impressed with him defensively, the passion, the energy that he had. The second half play that he made, I think there was one where he was on C.J. Jackson and did a great job on him. But, man, he just looks like a guy that's a gamer, a guy that loves the game of basketball.
He reminds me of the young bull at Cleveland now. To see his on-the-ball intensity. He is our best on-the-ball defender. Justin Jennifer does a great job of keeping guys in front of him as an on-the-ball defender. Logan not only keeps you in front of him, but he pressures you. He's got long arms, which is underrated for, a guard, a 6'1", 6'2" guard. He's got long arms, and he's got oversized hands. I put my hands up to his yesterday, and it was maybe a centimeter smaller than my hands. And it's got this monkey mandible thumb that can bend all the way down. So when you see him with the ball, his hands are so spread on the ball, and he's holding it out. And, when Nick Van Exel did this, when you got oversized hands, you can finish because you can take contact. You can go – he's ambidextrous. He's right-handed. He eats right. He writes with his right hand. But his older brother, Tyler Johnson, with the Miami Heat, he wanted to be just like him growing up. So he started shooting with his left hand. He started doing everything with his left hand. And then so now he shoots his threes with his left. But when he goes and he does floaters, he can finish with his left hand. He can finish with his right hand. And once he becomes a knockdown shooter, man, watch out because he's got a motor. He doesn't get offended when he gets coached hard. He's used to being coached hard. He'll listen. He'll say, I got you, coach. And when he comes into the game, he knows exactly what his role is.
Yeah. I love in the second half, I think there was a free throw where I think he was going to the free throw line and Ohio State huddled, and he went right in the huddle.
And the coach said, what do you do? Yeah.
For a freshman to have that kind of confidence to do something like that, I love that. And he's a guy I think gives them a lot of energy.
Boy, you Xavier people. Boy, I tell you, that's the kind of irritation stuff that you
see. I love pettiness. Like I love pettiness, man. For show.
Yeah,
stuff too. I love pettiness.
Your head you know what he did? He got in the huddle, but the officials came in there and said, "Look, it's not high school."
He got right in there.
Yeah, it's not high school. Get out of there, man.
We award pettiness on this show. Yeah. I know myself and Nick, we love pettiness. As much as we can talk about anything petty that happens, we're probably going to talk about it.
Real quick before we wrap up.
Go ahead.
How excited are you that your boy lives in Ohio now? And you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
Are you a big
So you don't understand. I have a
love affair?
love affair with the
The
balls.
entire Ball family.
LeVar,
Yes.
LaMelo, Jello,
I
and
like them too. I like
Lonzo.
them as well. Yeah.
So I love all of them, and LaMelo will be playing in Ohio. Here
I think Brad's going
this
to move
year.
up to is it
So,
is it Canton?
Geneva.
Yeah, I think I'm going to drive up to Geneva, and actually, what's funny is I'm not kidding you. When
I know you're not. You're going to drive up to Geneva.
No, but when I read the article, I immediately went to my maps to see how far it was. It's 4 hours away. It's pretty far up there, but I would love to do a podcast and just explain to LaMelo
Yes.
how much I'm rooting for him.
You know, it's funny.
I root for him and Lonzo like every day. I say before I go to sleep, I usually say a prayer for the
prayer for the Ball.
for the Ball family.
Light a candle, have a little vigil.
Fire it
Oh
up.
my goodness.
He's got 4 pictures up on his wall. Little
Hail
candle there.
Mary, full of grace. Hey, you know what? There's a I won't mention the name, but there's a recruit on campus that attends Spire Academy, and he's going to be teammates.
Is he
Oh,
by
wow.
chance 7'7"?
No, he's
Is that the BFG?
he's a 6'5" guard, and so I told him, I said, "Are you ready to be on national TV every day?" And he starts laughing. I said, "No, I'm serious." I said, "They bring their own production crew to every game." So if you thought that you can just have just a regular season, it's not like a regular prep school. It's not a regular. No, it is turned into the Ball show.
Absolutely.
You're going to be on the Facebook Live show. You're going to be on the YouTube clips and edits.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
If you do what
No, you're getting me so
Yes,
excited right
you're
now.
going to get all of this attention. Now, if you don't want the smoke, transfer. But all the smoke is coming because this guy is your shot attempt's probably going to go down. He learned a lot in Lithuania. He learned a lot playing in that JBL, but he's probably the most talented, gifted scorer in high school that's going to come back. I mean, he's got
Yeah, he can
unbelievable range. He's finally starting to spring up, and he can jump now.
And since he's cut his hair, the maturity level for LaMelo.
I was about to say, he is so immature.
Really there.
Yes.
It is really there, and that's why he came back. He knew it. He had to tell LeVar, hey, I got to step back. I got to focus on school right now.
I thought it was
I'm
because
gonna- I
they
gotta
only
go-
have 3G in Lithuania. They he had to come back. Internet wasn't fast enough for him.
You keep firing out as many comments as you want.
Yeah,
and you
plus
watch-
the economy couldn't pay $500 for a pair of shoes. I don't think he's gonna. I think you can go to Japan and get you the same pair for $20. $500. Come on, man.
Well, I've been waiting for. There's a BBB shirt that I've been waiting to get. It's been out of stock for about a month now. So I'm.
I can
God,
print
you
you
probably-
up one. It'll just be lowercase
No.
letters, but it won't. I can get you one.
Well,
It looks like the Better Business Bureau shirt.
I need some sandals.
Same
for,
logo and everything.
Yeah, I need some sandals for Mexico. So
Yeah.
I might have some BBB sandals on the way.
Well,
might be.
You're
Little
gonna need,
teaser.
you're
right
gonna
there.
need to clear your credit card off before you start purchasing them. I mean, they get expensive.
Take out the dust.
Yeah, they get expensive, bro.
Take out the dust. All right, hey Terry, that was fantastic.
It's awesome.
Guys, how do we feel about that? Are
Feel
we feeling
great.
good about that?
Feel great.
Terry, it was
Yeah.
great. I love the stories, every single thing. Terry, I'm hoping this becomes more of a consistent thing.
I'm hoping so. But you know what? It won't unless you have these sitting out waiting on me next time.
Look, we got the
Hey,
big old
hey,
cooler.
hey,
over
Yeah,
there.
I
Terry.
see the big cooler. The problem is the cooler's over there and there's none over here. You need a female here working that can do the prop stuff. See,
Christy-
guys are like
Christy.
big rocks. And women do all the sand and the water. They fill in everything. I
Calling
mean,
Christy
yes.
Carnes.
Yeah, we need to call Christy Carnes. Christy, we need you. We need
You
help.
need a female
Yeah.
touch, man.
Anything you want to close on?
No, not really.
Do you know what? He must respect you because he didn't have one UC dig today.
Yeah, you
Not
wouldn't
one
even realize that
single-
guy.
Maybe it's a first
It'll
day kind
come.
of thing.
It'll come. He's
for when
feeling me
Terry
out.
leaves.
That's right.
Terry Lee's like, God, you see.
Remember my quote, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So just keep that in your mouth right there.
You better start running, Richard, before you say anything.
He's going to start with those AAC jokes.
right,
They're gonna
right.
come in hard.
All right, Terry Nelson, thank you for the time, and we will be back soon. For the Brad Redford, Terry Nelson, Greg Richard, and Nick Given, Be Different Podcast, we're out of here.